fullest state of mind.
Let me start off by saying I know how terribly dumb and naive I was for letting myself get into this situation. Hell, sometimes I even laugh how preposterous this whole thing was, and you can too. It's kind of funny at parts. However, at the same time, I knew if I was just a little dumber, I might have not been so lucky. And no, I do not have a foot fetish myself. It had all started a couple of years ago. I was a sophomore in high school, 15 or 16 at the time, and I was hanging out with extremely toxic and emotionally manipulative acquaintance, Holly, who let's just say weren't shy on getting money from lucrative ways. Such ways including scamming older men for the money from fake dating profiles she made of other girls in her grade she didn't like, stealing from her parents, and bumming off money and things from her other friends. She had been doing this for years, same age as Carter and I was a minor at the time. Sure, we could have been considered friends, but I was much closer to my best friend Carter. Carter had been my best friend with Holly since freshman year, and honestly, the only reason I hung out with her was because Carter insisted on inviting her to our hangout every time. Holly was not a good person, and I quietly put up with her antics. One day, she starts talking about her friend Sarah. Awesome, but honestly, I really don't care, especially knowing Carter and her ditched me for her. I wasn't really paying attention to the story until Holly asked me if I wanted to sell my socks for money. What the fuck? She smiles and proceeds to tell me how the finest super senior, kid you not, who brought knee-high socks for $90. All Sarah did was have to wear them outside for an entire day. Yeah, the freak liked them sweaty, I guess. The only thing was, the super senior insisted on meeting in person only. Holly laughed, telling me it was a little weird. Okay, red flag number one. Holly never really thought things were weird unless they were really fucking weird. Then she proceeds to tell me that this super senior, honestly, I never got his name so I'll just call him Cal, was trying to get her in the house the entire time but finally gave up and they left. You're probably thinking, what the hell? Who would be dumb enough to try and wrangle money from this freak? Me. I'm the idiot. All I really heard was $90 for a pair of old worn socks I was in. Being the amazing friends they were, Holly and Carter just laughed and informed me that I would have to do it on my own since they had better things to do, whatever that meant. They gave me his Instagram handle and wished me luck. Well, we had a problem right off the bat. You see, I had totaled my car just around a month before and had no vehicle of my own. American and small town, so it's hard to get around without a car. Well, being the dumbass that I was and still am, I decided, hey, let's just take my mom's car. Huge mistake. So, I start messaging this cow on Instagram, explaining my situation and how I got in contact with him. I can't remember most of the conversation, but I can remember this guy being really insistent on meeting at his apartment complex. Red flag number two. Although I'm very stupid and naive at times, I at least had common sense. I brushed it off and suggested other areas, Starbucks parking lot, local parks, etc. But this guy wasn't backing down. Finally, after much convincing, I get Cal to agree to meet me in a nearby park, right by his house. Red flag number three. So, I convinced my mom to allow me to drive a car and meet up with Cal at the park. It's mostly deserted, but it was by a busy street, so I don't feel too uncomfortable. That's when I met Cal. He was a huge, fat, sweaty guy with a beard who reeked. My guy was at least 19, but looked like he could be pushed in mid-20s. That's when I knew I made a mistake, but there was no way I was going to say no to $19. I awkwardly greeted him, and formal pleasantries were exchanged. I don't remember much of the weird-ass conversation other than a couple highlights. Number one, the dude brought a fucking rope. Turns out he was into bounding feet as well, and I was super creeped out. Dude then starts to tie my feet together after I'm on with a weak agreement. What I remember is staring at the sun, wishing I would die right there and then. Number 2. This guy had to growl to call my feet ugly while rubbing and massaging them. That kinda hurt, not going to lie. Number 3. Dude was insistent, almost straight up begging, on showing me his knife collection back at home and he would pay me extra to come with him. Yeah, no. Wasn't going to happen. I knew what that meant and my virgin ass wanted no part in that. Number 4. Dude straight up sniffed my socks after I gave it to him. No shame whatsoever. Told me he liked the vinegar smell. Yeah. Turns out the socks used to belong to my now deceased grandfather. I had just grabbed a random knee-high pair from my sock drawer. Number 5. After refusing Kyle multiple times to come back to his house, he only gave me 1/4 of the price we agreed on since I refused to come home with him. Whatever. I was disgusted and disturbed to high hell anyways and wanted to get the fuck out of there. After returning home and getting my ass chewed out by my mum, I told her the truth after she asked me why I took the car, and I promptly blocked the guy and called my friends to tell them about the experience. Much to my surprise, Holly informed me about something she forgot to tell me about. Apparently, the guy had made several threats of shooting up his high school graduation and very well known to the local police. Although I thought this was over and done with in my junior year of high school, I received threatening and grotesque phone calls in which I reported to the police. Carter and Holly were also called and threatened. While mine were more of sexual nature, they involved being called extremely specific slurs. Holly was black and Carter was gay, and he even recited Holly's address. Although I never found out who did them, and there was a good chance Holly could have orchestrated the whole thing herself, I can't help but wonder if Kyle was behind them. So, to the foot fetish guy who tried to get a minor to come back to his apartment and look at his knife collection, let's not meet ever again.